there. Good evening. Fox 6 Sports Blitz. Middle of June. I think everybody's just about graduated into the summer portion of the schedule by now. Brandon Cruz is here. I'm Tim Van Born. You see conspicuous by her absence, Lily Zaba. We'll keep you company for the next half an hour or so. Here's our starting lineup. Brewers finding the road a bit bumpy this week. One final step before training camp for the Packers. We go one-on-one with the IndyCar driver who has all the power. There's a new course a fan favorite is trying to conquer. And a trip to Augusta highlights our high school hotshot. Brandon Cruz, I'm going to say that this week, the Brewers, they won 2 games this weekend in Detroit. I had never heard of the winning pitcher prior to the season for either game, Tobias Myers or Jared Koenig. It's that kind of Brewers season. Anybody from anywhere is getting things done. Now, this week on the road, they were swept in Philadelphia. They win 2 of 3 at Detroit. What's your takeaway from this kind of no name, but still division-leading ball club?
Well, they're getting by. I mean, it's not a great road trip. I mean, had they swept the Tigers today, it would have felt a lot better, I think, for them. But, you know, getting blown out, coming home after a 2-4 trip and still being dominantly in the lead of their division at this point is a good thing. But I think what they're able to do is with smoke and mirrors, as you said. 11 different starting pitchers this season for the Crew, and there's going to be a new one again later this week. So by the end of this week, they could have 12 new starting pitchers or different starting pitchers to get going, and they're still in first place. A big reason for this is their bullpen has been great. We saw that on Saturday. They go 5 2/3 innings without allowing a run and helping Freddie Peralta get past a pretty poor start for him. The offense has been fantastic until what we saw in Philadelphia. So overall, I think everything's fine. It wasn't the greatest week for them, and now they get to come home.
They got a real taste of high-intensity baseball in Philadelphia, too, which if they stay where they are, they're going to be playing as this season goes along. William Contreras doesn't play today. It's been the first time in a long, long time. First time all this season he doesn't play. Seems like maybe it's the move because they got to the record with Willy Adames in terms of teammates. Most games started at the beginning of the season. And then they said Contreras' numbers have been down a little bit. Maybe he is getting tired a little. Just needs a break.
Well, we're now inside of 100 games to go for the regular season. And to me, if you're going to spell a guy, find that perfect spot and give him a chance to just catch his breath. Yes, he wants to play. In fact, it was a week ago today that we were talking in the Brewers clubhouse, and Christian Yelich said those guys would be on the field no matter what that day. I don't think they were going to have that same argument and able to pull it off against Pat Murphy today, and I think there's a reason for it. You mentioned it. You know, Contreras has still been contributing, but his numbers haven't been great this week, and there's been just a lot of wear and tear. So why not put him down on Sunday, let him get a break, come back on Monday fresh, and so he gets almost a full 48 hours off because of the way of the schedule.
And Contreras can say, look, what'd you do without me?
Right.
You get me back in there. And we're kind of spoiled because he's been so productive earlier in the season. You don't want to say he's, not contributing. As you said, he is still contributing. It's just not to the degree that he had been dominating games. And the Brewers looked like they needed just one more dominator or one big hitter in that Philadelphia series. They were just kind of a bat short, which left them a run short in those games.
Well, and that was what was really interesting about that series is every game was close. And, their bats just couldn't get going against the Phillies pitchers. And the Phillies pitchers are very strong. So you have to give them the credit there. But the problem for the Brewers is they just couldn't do it. But the silver lining, they can come out of that series and say, hey, we are right there. This is the best team in the National League, and we hung with them toe-to-toe all the way through. We just don't have any wins to show for it. But when you look at that, it's a matter of, okay, now we know how these guys pitch. We've seen them this year. So say they meet up again when it really matters. They have the experience against those pitchers, and they know they can do it. So to me, that's what you take from that series, is that you can hang with the best team in the league.
Toronto Blue Jays are coming in next here at home. Then you have a day off. Then you go through the weekend with the Cincinnati Reds. Brewers are still up. I think it's 6.5 games on the next 3 teams in their division. So they are comfortably in control of this division. But the pitching problems continue. Good pitching in Philadelphia, certainly, as you said, but injuries to that staff again. And now it's Robert Gasser.
Yeah, and that one's just kind of concerning because we don't know exactly what the extent of this injury is. He's getting a third opinion on it right now. And he has really come on in the 5 starts he's made. He's looked really, really strong no matter what. He's been in control pretty much every time he's out there. I think he had one questionable outing out of those 5. And when you look at what he was able to bring, I thought, okay, great. There's some stability there with Freddie Peralta and Robert Gasser, and let the other holes fill where they may. But now he's out, and now they're having to search for another starter. They did bring Aaron Ashby back, who pitched very well in his outing. But the thing is he going to be able to sustain that, because he's already been sent back down to AAA? Right. So they're just trying to find fresh arms to get through this part of the season. And with about 97 games to go, we'll see if they can kind of stabilize that starting rotation, or if this is how we're going to go in through the summer. And on the Gasser situation, as you said, multiple opinions, kind of a wide range on those opinions, too, in terms of how severe the situation may be. Certainly the Brewers are monitoring that. Joe Ross is coming back this week. Maybe Junis is coming back soon. Ross, maybe not this week, but soon. This is an important time of season, though, to hold the fort. Cardinals cooled a little bit, but they've gotten better. Cubs getting a little healthier. This is a push time in this division. It is, and this is when you have to rely on your bats in this case. I mean, if your starting pitching can't do it. I mean, one of the things that Pat Murphy was talking about with Freddie Peralta is because of all those injuries, there's been added pressure to him to really come out and pitch great when it's his turn to start. He didn't do that on Saturday, but the bullpen picked him up. And I think he needs to mentally pull back and just go out and pitch his game and know what he is doing makes a difference that way, not to carry that whole 5 days on one game's shoulders. Almost trying to be too fine. You're exactly right. He knows he's the ace of this staff, and he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. We shall see. The Admirals certainly had a good run this season. They get their season to come to an end. Coachella Valley beats them in the Western Conference Finals 5-1. The score, 4-1, the series score. The Ads had put together a 19-game winning streak. They were really good through the postseason in these elimination games. Pretty lackluster final game, but certainly not a lackluster season for this team. No, and you have to wonder, did they just run out of gas? I mean, when you have your backs against the wall for 5 elimination games and you win all 5 of them, that 6-1, it's tough to do. And that was the 5th game they were playing this team that has so much firepower. And it looked like it was a mental focus issue. They got 4-0 in the first period. Right. Penalties and 4-0, and you're just not going to come back against the Firebirds. All right. We're to the second half of our first segment, which is a little convoluted, but here we go anyway. It is the Packers that we're talking about, and pretty much they're going to go too. They have mandatory minicamp this week, and then it's time off until training camp. What is the storyline, if there's any storyline, that's changed to this point since the last regular season and postseason ended? I just think maybe expectations, but I still think that they were big when the season ended and then lost to the 49ers. But I think what you've seen now is these guys have been working out together away from the facility, and now that they've had the 3 weeks of OTAs, they've been able to work together as an entire group. And the fact that everybody's buying in, the fact that you have Jordan Love there, despite not having a contract guaranteed, I think that says a lot about where this team is mentally, and the fact that they want to work with each other, they believe in each other, and they trust that everything is going to work out. I think that is the one thing that we have to keep watching for. We've been talking about it for months now. Where is this contract? What have you seen when you've been up there with these OTAs as they now shift? As I look at Love, and I think it bears noting, you depends on how you play, of course, out there in the NFL. It's big-time football. But he has not had a misstep yet as a quarterback for the Packers. From when he was sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, never said the wrong thing, never did the wrong thing. Here he is at OTAs, and this week he'll be at the mandatory minicamp. And obviously the second half of the last season, he played very well. He is the leader of the Packers. There's no question about it. And he sets a tone for guys to give what they can. For instance, at the wide receiver position, we saw all those young players start to come on last season. Don't forget Bo Melton in the middle of all this. All these other receivers are noted, and they were drafted, and they've produced. And Bo Melton is just one of those guys he's so impressive in the way he carries himself, but he gets things done on the field, too. And last year, he certainly pushed into the receiver rotation. He did. And the thing, too, is because of guys like that, seeing the lead from Jordan Love, it's funny that the second-year starter is such a leader, and these guys are following him in line. Yes, this is his 5th season in the NFL, but like you said, these young receivers see a positive lead, and they follow it, and they all want to be together. And that's one of the reasons the Packers are going to pay Jordan Love big money, and they're not going to get acrimonious about this, because that's the example you're setting for all these young players who are pushing for their chance to be in that position as well. We're pushing for more of the Fox 6 Sports Blitz right around the corner. We're racing. We got to say what? We hope you're back with us.
Do I vote? I don't even know if I vote for her.
You really want to ask that question out of the gate?
I just like getting people's attention with something.
My significant other think he's sexy, so.
Wow. That was interesting. Was that Taylor Swift?
But yeah, we just popped a big white canvas tent down in the middle of a clearing at a YMCA camp, and we had a good time.
How about Tucker Kraft celebrating his wedding that way? The one thing he couldn't do, swing dance. He had surgery 10 days before that wedding in South Dakota that sounded like a good time.
He's one of the guys with the bad pecs right now because of the surgery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see how quickly he is able to recover and get back into the full swing for the Packers. Now, speaking of getting into the swing of things, it was a huge day up at Road America, especially early on with some history being made.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is some of the action here as we get ready to see the big race. Prior to that, it was Jamie Chadwick winning the Indy Next race, first woman to win on a road course. Then she moves aside, and you can say, gentlemen, start your engines for this. Everybody's getting out there ready to go. The Indy track, the Indy car folks and the track extend their working agreement. They're going to go forward for several years, so race fans love all this. Crowd's good this weekend. Action pretty intense as well. When it's all said and done, it's Will Power and the Penske team. I had a chance to catch up with today's winner in Victory Lane. Okay, congratulations, Will. They have a driver history chart here in the notes, and Scott Dixon's raced here longer than you are, Elio Castroneves, but nobody longer ago won at Road America than you. How does it feel to get back in the winner's circle this year?
Oh man, it's been a long time. Been kind of a bit of a struggle. So we've been fast, and I've got a great team behind me. So I feel like they deserve this win. They've worked hard. We've all worked hard, but they execute every week for me in the pits and with car preparation, Chevy with the engine, great sponsor in Verizon. So I feel very privileged to drive for them, and I love paying them back with the win.
Privilege is a good P word, power is a good P word, persistence is a good one too. You've really had to stay with a lot in life and racing. Yeah. How have you done so?
Oh man, that's just life. It's never perfect. Everyone has their ups and downs, doesn't matter who you are. So you should always feel grateful that you have a good life, and there's always someone who's got it worse than you, so you got to enjoy it.
You seem like you're enjoying this. The satisfaction of being able to do it on a tough day with a lot of changeability, the cautions early, the tires, the strategy. What kind of satisfaction level do you feel, particularly when it's been a while since you've actually been able to lift the heaviest trophy?
Oh man, I feel very satisfied because it wasn't really a straightforward race. You had to make good fuel, very good laps when you were going long. On my in-lap was really good, so there were many factors that went into that, and that's the only way you win in IndyCar, so it's a very tough series.
Last question for you, appreciate the time, is just what this means for your team. Obviously a Penske podium party, really.
We dominated today as a group, so I think Roger will be really happy about that, and you know, we're really fighting for a championship. We want to win that because we won the 500 with Joseph, so if I can go on and win the championship, that would be a phenomenal year for the whole team.
Well, I know you're happy about coming back to Milwaukee Mile, and so is Roger, so that'll be your next visit to Wisconsin.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Good stuff there with Will Power, popular winner too. He's been around for a long time, and again, last year's wife had health issues, and that's why we talked about him really having to battle through that last season. He admitted it distracted him.
Well, you know, you talk about health issues. Let's shift to golf now. Jerry Kelly, a fan favorite here in Wisconsin, especially over in Madison. He plays in the American Family Insurance Championship this week. He's in contention until Sunday where he falls off. But we find out he's battling rheumatoid arthritis. And one of the things that was noticeable this week, he's a very high energy guy. He didn't have a lot of energy this week.
That's striking because for Jerry Kelly for years, as you said, always just been right on the edge, always playing with that fire and that tenacity. And so that must be as difficult a battle as anything for him, knowing he can't go out and attack things the way he wants to.
Yeah, it's been kept pretty quiet. Guys on the tour knew, now it's out there in the public as he shared that. Steve Stricker, earlier this week, also kind of hinted at retirement. Do you see him going anywhere?
No, I don't, because he's Steve Stricker. He's been this constant for years with the same personality and the same approach to things. So in his own life, he might be thinking about that type of change. But from the outside, I don't see that. I can't see that. It's hard to visualize it.
He's 57. He's the host of this tournament that he finishes runner-up for today. It now leaves University Ridge, where it's been for its first 8 times. It moves to TPC Wisconsin, of course, he's very involved with. What do you think that's going to do for this tournament?
I think it's a nice boost at this point. As you said, it's been a solid run at University Ridge, and the organizers there were thanking the course for all those years after today's event. But it's a little juice. It's a little something different, and there's a lot of excitement about this particular course in the Madison area.
Yeah, it's his father-in-law's, but he's obviously very involved. They will start playing this tournament there next year. This year, Ernie Els is the winner of the AmFam Championship. Well, before we go to break, Arike Ogunbowale was not put on Team USA's roster for the Olympics. Kind of a big shock. She's a WNBA All-Star. She's averaging more than 26 points a game, along with 5 assists per game in Dallas. We'll see where she goes after that. I can see her playing with a chip on her shoulder the rest of the way. Well, coming up next, our high school hotshots. Stay with us. Well, thanks for staying up with us tonight. She put in the work and achieved a lifelong dream, but only after fighting through a scary life event. Here's tonight's high school hotshot.
Hi, I'm McKenna Nelson. I'm a sophomore at Beaver Dam High School, and I'm on the girls golf team. Yeah, I really loved it. Just playing an individual sport my whole entire life. It's kind of weird having a team, but I wouldn't have traded it for anything. It was the day before my first high school golf meet, and I was out here on the range. I remember just swinging and just felt my heart take off. I really didn't know what a fast heartbeat was. It was at 230 beats per minute. It was easily the scariest moment of my life, just having all the doctors rush in on you. I quickly got diagnosed with SVT, supraventricular tachycardia, which is where there's an extra pathway in your heart that causes the electrical signals to not go on path. It came to me with so much anxiety. I ended up losing my love to practice and losing my love to just be out on the golf course. I just came to the decision that I should probably get the ablation, which is where they just freeze off the extra pathway and never have to worry about it ever again. It went from having so much fear to no fear. Since I was 6 years old, I competed in drive, trim, putt. You just go through local, sub-regional, and then regional, and then only one goes on to Augusta, so it's a long process. I've been there twice. I remember every single camera on the 18th green panned to me, and I was like, oh, now I know. I won. It was truly unbelievable, something that I've dreamt about ever since I was 6 years old. It will be definitely one of my favorite chapters of my life. I loved playing in all the amateur events that Wisconsin has. Yeah, I really just like playing with the big girls, I guess you can say. Last year I qualified for the U.S. Women's Amateur Floorball. It was my first USJ event I qualified for. I was the youngest person to win the Women's State Match Play, and I was the youngest Women's Amateur Play of the Year. Hi, I'm McKenna Nelson. I'm a sophomore at Beaver Dam High School, and I won this year's Drive, Trim, Putt National Championship. And I am this week's FOX6 High School Hotshot.
And McKenna is Wisconsin's first drive, chip, and putt national champion. Now, she still has dreams of playing collegiate golf, but for now, she's just focused on enjoying her high school career.
Congratulations to a former Fox 6 high school hotshot and Cedarburg native Peyton Monticelli. The Badgers transfer now a national champion with the Oklahoma Sooners softball team. She pitched out of a big jam, getting a ground out in the title-clinching game this week. Congratulations to her. Whitewater native Reese Brantmeyer, a sophomore in North Carolina, earned All-American honors in both singles and doubles tennis. We profiled her in the past. She was 22-4 this season in singles, 28-7 in doubles. And you can add state champion to Germantown Cody Schmidt's resume. He claimed the individual title. We introduced you to Cody and his father Troy last year when we went beyond the game with them at the course that Troy owns, Blackstone Creek. Plenty of practice out there for Cody, and it certainly pays off this week with a state championship. What's up next week? Stay tuned, we'll tell you. Well, when it comes to the baseball world, Brandon, it's welcome back to the Brew Crew and former UWM catcher Dalton Varsho this week.
And he's having a good year for the Blue Jays, who aren't having a good year right now. They could be a team that could be selling, so maybe we see a future Brewer in this weekend. And then the Reds come to town, and that's going to be a series where a lot of stolen bases happen.
And Brent Suter back in town. That'll
That's
be
true.
Interesting, too. Yeah, absolutely. State baseball is this week for high school. State soccer is this week as well. So
A lot of local teams in both.
no question about it. The school year is maybe over, but
almost. Whitefish Bay is still in this week.
Hanging in, yeah. Some districts still hanging in. We're glad you hung in with us. Lily Zell will be back again next week to join us. Thank you. Have a great week.